teach-in part of this evening is about the drones. This is a 1/5 scale. Model of the Reaper drone. Taken from the Old Testament. That scary part of the Bible. Where God
country.
It's the lobbyists that run the country.
Corporate lobbying will leave you broke.
Corporate lobbying will leave you broke.
Political lobbying will leave you dead.
Political lobbying will leave you dead.
Google USS Liberty.
Google USS Liberty.
Exhibit A.
Exhibit A.
That's all I have to say. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
Mic check. Mic check.
Mic check.
John, I'm going to tell you a story
Let me tell you a story
about this brother here
about this brother here
who doesn't want to speak,
who doesn't want to speak,
but he told me
who told me
he has some experience
he has some experience
in Afghanistan,
in Afghanistan.
and it was terrible,
And it was terrible.
and he wants his brothers home.
And he wants his brother home.
This is a big challenge
This is a big challenge
to us
to us
because we're the only ones
because we're the only ones
that can stop these wars.
that can stop these wars.
If only
If only
we in our millions
we in our millions
take the streets,
take the streets,
occupy against these terrible
against these terrible
occupations.
occupations.
We demand end these wars now.
End these wars now.
I'm serious
I'm serious
when I say
when I say
we don't even know
we don't even know
the number
the number
of what the United States
of what the United States
spends on the military,
spends on the military
because so much of it
because so much of it
is secret.
is secret.
The NSA,
The NSA,
National Security Administration,